Speaking of spring and getting ready for spring and the warmer weather, hello Sheila. Um, Janet, what did you do this weekend?
I was sewing.
Yeah. Okay, have a nice week. We'll see you the next Tuesdays at 2.
No,
Um,
actually, I pulled out my summer clothes to start with the great hope that I'll be able to wear them soon. Um, and because of my weight loss from this last fall, I though I didn't have many that still fit or look good. So as I'm going through, I went, oh my gosh, do I need t-shirts? Because that's what I wear to work every day. It's the most comfortable thing to wear here in the office and in the studio. So I decided I would have to make some t-shirts. And at first I thought, well, I make one a week, that'd be cool. Or maybe make one on Saturday and one on Sunday, that would be cool. And then I thought, no, I'm going to make, what did I make? Four. Yeah, I made four this weekend. And I employed my production skills. So I become a one woman production team. If there's no I in team, there is now. So, anyways, just the skills I used when back in many years ago when I produced a line and sold it at art fairs and Renaissance festivals and the like. I would stay up all night doing this kind of production work and got it down to a pretty good science. And of course, because I have the little sneak peek of knowledge of what happens in a garment factory, that you can employ some of those techniques even though you don't have a whole team. You can still be more efficient and sew more garments in a faster time frame. So that's what I did, and I'm glad I did. We got the new fabrics in, and they kind of inspired me too. So I had to use the new fabrics.
right. Which Monique is asking, do we have any of the fabric that's
Mm-hmm.
behind us? Yes, it's on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later too if you have questions about it. But it is on the website right now.
Yeah. So when you want to make a lot of garments at one time, the first thing to consider is stack cutting. So if you want to make several garments and they're all coming from the same pattern for the same person or the same size, then you could cut out four or five at a time by knowing how to stack cut. And I'll start my demonstration today with the stack cutting. And then we'll go on to the just the simple techniques of production sewing by yourself. So, are we ready?
Sure.
No? Were we supposed to talk about something else first?
I don't care. Whatever. Whatever order.
Okay, so I'm going to go over here to my demo.
All right. So you're going to be showing everybody how to do the stack cutting.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start over in this corner. Okay, so to stack cut, you can use a very large, long scissor,
Sorry. Go ahead. You're fine.
or you can use a rotary cutter. And then if you need to do a lot of stack cutting, let's say that you are producing garments for a children's charity or something like that, and you need to cut a lot, then there are small power cutters that can be used. But with a simple rotary cutter, you could probably, depending on the loft of the fabric and the fiber content, cut out four or five at a time. And just think how much time that saves. It takes X time to cut one out. If you cut four out separately, you got four times X. But if you cut them all at once, you save three times X. So you save that time already just by stack cutting. Okay, so to stack cut, it's not just throw the fabric down and hope for the best, obviously. So first thing you want to start with is a layer of paper. So I have used a brown craft paper, and I keep a roll of this because I use it for a ton of things. It's inexpensive and it's disposable, so it's nice to have around for a lot of things. I've even given the kids some markers, and they've made their own wrapping paper for a birthday party in a pinch. So first you put down the brown paper. Then you start to layer your fabrics. And you layer them by keeping them even with the straight edge of the paper. And the reason we do that is that each layer, you want to keep everything on grain and you want to keep it straight. So this is our straight edge. This is what will keep us on track. And then each layer is smoothed out and laid, but always, always butted up to that exact same spot. And if you're going to cut on a fold for some reason, then you would put the folds and lay those out. Problem with folds are that you can have a little mishap if you get too many folds, because they'll start to pull away from each other. So in other words, the top one won't be as wide as the bottom one. So you got to be careful with that. So I like to cut everything on the flat. So we lay everything out on the flat, as many layers as we need. And then it's the same as always as far as putting your pattern on the fabric, measuring the straight of grain and weighting them down in some manner. And then it's just cutting them all out at the same time. The one key thing to cutting, especially if you're using scissors, is to make sure that you're cutting straight. Perpendicular to the table. If you cut at too much of an angle, and again your stack is very high, you'll start changing the width of the piece you're cutting.
So Mary has a question.
Sure.
You told them to use the craft paper, but why?
Well, that's coming.
Okay.
Stick with me, Mary. I'm going to show you. And if you don't have craft paper and you have another type of paper, let's say a newsprint, just make sure that if you're using a newspaper paper, that it either has been dried out so the ink isn't going to leach onto your beautiful fabric, or that it has no print on it at all. But I'm going to show you why we're using the brown paper. And it solves a problem that we've all had many times, particularly if you work at a cutting table that has to be butted up against a wall and you can't quite reach. So anyway, we're just going to cut these pieces out just like we would normally. So I'm just cut out this little shirt yoke here to show you. And I'm cutting right through the paper, of course. And so now I have cut out three, let's see, let me cut this side, 3 shirt yokes. Okay, and there we have it. So we've stack cut that, and so we have 3 of these. And we're all set to move on to the next piece. Now, let's say that I couldn't reach this up here. I could not reach this up here, and I just can't get to it. So would you get a stool? Would you get a ladder? What would you do? You've got a stack of fabric, and even if you've only got 2 layers of fabric, moving this could be a problem. But not when you've got the paper underneath. Look at this. Now, if I want to change the angle that I'm cutting at, I can just move this right around and get at the exact angle I want. Move it back around. It's easy as pie. The paper helps keep everything organized and in order. But my favorite aspect is the fact that I can move it wherever I want, when I want. So that is how you stack cut. Now, is there any questions at this point?
Mary said That's so easy. I climb on the table.
Yes, Mary, I've climbed on tables myself. I've used ladders and stools and things. And when you only have one layer, that's probably what I'm going to do. But if I'm going to stack cut, I'm going to put that paper underneath, and then I have all of this wonderful ease of movement. Okay, so any other questions on stack cutting? Of course, you're going to mark it all exactly the same. If you've got a mark in the center of the piece, you just peel back one layer at a time and mark. Peel back the next layer and mark.
So Nancy is asking, um, will the paper dull the blade?
No. Okay, paper will not dull your blade any faster than a piece of cotton. What will dull your blade is cutting on a deteriorated mat or cutting anything with slubs in it or specifically polyester. And one of the biggest culprits on dulling your blade is polar fleece. So polyester is very hard on a blade, but paper, fabric, cotton is not. Read my Mythbusters and you'll see that I don't adhere to the fact that you cannot use your sewing scissors for paper. Just nobody else can. So you don't tell your family, you keep up the myth that paper will ruin my sewing scissors. It won't, but that way they won't take them. Hopefully. But that's the whole thing is no. Paper, cardboard, yes. Heavy construction materials, yes. But just plain old brown paper or plain old paper used in your copier or your paper that your patterns are made out of, just cut them out with a rotary cutter, and that's it.
Patty's wondering where you buy the craft paper.
I buy mine from either Wawak or Staples, but probably Staples. Probably Staples. It comes in a roll, but if you go to any kind of office supply
or even
Michael's, so a lot of times you can buy smaller rolls. I buy a great big roll that hangs on the wall, but that's because it's my business. For a hobby, you want a smaller. But I have seen them. They're like by the wrapping paper, I think. I think you can even get them at Target, and it'll say brown craft paper on it.
All right, this is not about stack cutting, but while you're there with your rotary cutter, Claudia says that she has difficulty cutting curves with the rotary cutter, and if you have any tricks.
I don't. You just follow the curve. So like here's a curve, and again, if you need to get closer or get at the right angle, but I don't have any trouble, and I know people have said that, and I don't know why, because all you do is follow the curve of the pattern. Keep your blade going in the direction of the cutting line, and there's your curve. Let me see if I can pull this apart. And there's your curve. So, and you can do, I did this inside curve. You saw me do that, arm size, everything. I know when the rotary cutters first came out, the first word on the street from all your sewing friends was, oh, they're really great for quilting, but you can't use them for garment sewing. And I said to myself, why? I think I'm going to go get one of those. And I started cutting with this. I don't see any reason why I can't cut with this. They said it was only good for straights because they were using the ruler and they were cutting straight. And then I was told, oh no, you can't cut curves with it. And if you do, you got to get the real small one so that you can get in those curves. No, that is not true. So I think maybe just a little bit of practice and you'll feel more confident. But it is not difficult at all.
I would say practice. I also would say you don't need the smaller one, but sometimes it does feel better.
Yeah, but sometimes they were talking about that really tiny
but
one.
they're smaller than that.
Yeah, there's one over there. This is like, I think a 60, and then there's a 45 in.
Right.
Yeah.
I prefer the 45.
Okay. So And what's cool about this one as opposed to this one, and it doesn't matter what size the blade is in this case, both of these are great, um, is this one has a lock on it. And you know, I'm always, if you've watched me much, you know I say get the one with the lock, because unless you are squeezing the blade or squeezing the handle, the blade is not exposed. So nobody gets hurt by accident. And it's really easy to forget to close this, especially when you're new to it. The other thing that's cool about this one is you can switch the blade from one side to the other for you lefties. So you can have a left-handed or a right-handed. This one you cannot switch the blade.
Mary had a good theory, maybe. She says maybe they're pushing too hard. Because I think that that's one thing that people do. They think they have to push real hard, and when you go around the curve, it could
Oh,
be
yeah.
hard. Remember that it's as long as your blade is sharp, you don't have to push that hard.
And that is true. And if you have to start pushing hard, you need to change your blade, because now you're ruining your mat by pushing so hard. Ask me how I know. You'll get these grooves in there. Yeah. And again, the whole practice idea is what's going to make the whole difference. Is once you get a feel for how much to push on it, and how to make that curve, it'll just be it'll just be second nature.
And then Joni asks, can the brown paper cutouts then be used as pattern?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bonus.
Yeah, as long as your cutting is accurate, you've got a new pattern piece. And it's exactly the same as the old one. So all you'd have to do is put your notches on there, and you'd have another pattern piece.
Mary wants to know where you got the snake weights.
These I got from my good friend Lorraine Henry. She makes them. They are full of lead shot. They're very heavy to ship, so I don't know what it costs to have them shipped to you. She does the sewing shows. Her name is Lorraine Henry, and I believe her website, Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, Sewing Hen. I think it's sewinghen.com. But her name is Lorraine Henry.
Yep.
It is Sewing Hen.
I'll put it in the comments.
And she sells the wiggle weights right on there. See, I wanted to carry them, but they're handmade, and they're so costly and time consuming to make. There's no option to get them wholesale.
Yes, they're on there, and they're called wiggle weights.
Right.
Like I said.
I know she does not ship to Canada, but she probably ships within the U.S. And again, a customer wrote me the other day and said, why? And I said, I guess you have to ask her. I'm assuming it's the weight. It's costly to ship to Canada from the U.S., and then when there's extra weight, it could be prohibitive. But anyway, they're wonderful, especially for going around curves, arm size and things. They just lay down and hold it really nice, and they don't create a big footprint to have to cut around. I think I'm done over here, right, Jess? No?
Tell me.
Oh, well, I wanted to come over and talk about the t-shirts and the production method that I use.
Sure.
Okay, so this is my new 4-piece t-shirt wardrobe that I made this weekend.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't asking, but a lot of people were giving compliments on your shirt.
Okay.
And wanting to know if it's the 5 Easy Tee.
It is.
And all that. So tell them all about your shirt when you're talking about those as well.
Okay. So what I did was I made 4 5 Easy Tees. However, the only thing that's different on my 5 Easy Tees than the pattern is I've changed the neckline. And we talked about that in the Stop the Insanity series, which is on YouTube as well. So take a look at that if you didn't get to see that. But it's very simple to change the neckline on a pattern, to take the neckline that you like from another pattern and put it on this one. This happens to be a neckline that we are auditioning for a new pattern that we're working on right now. Don't ask me when it'll be out because it could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 months. You never know when you're in the middle of working on these things, but I don't think it'll be long. Anyway, so I made these 5 easy tees. You can see the one that I am wearing has a different sleeve. So I cut this one out separately, and then I cut these 3 out stack cut. And then I went off to stitch them. Now I stitched these 2 at the same time because I used black thread. And these 2 at the same time because I use white thread. So here's how it all goes. You do all the operations of a t-shirt on all the ones that you are making. So in other words, the first step in making the 5 easy tees is to press the straight tape on the back shoulder seam and to put the double-sided tape on the hems of the shirt as well as the sleeves. So you take all the pieces over there, you stack them, all the sleeves up, all the fronts up, all the backs up, and you do all that work at one time. Then you take it all to the sewing machine, have them stacked up. You do all the same operation at once. So the first operation will be the shoulder seam. I just chain stitched all the shoulder seams. Just grab one, put it through, go to the other side. Now I got both shoulders. Then the next one, put it through. I did the same thing with, oh wait, before we did that, we went to the cover hem. And we cover hem stitched all the hems. And I chain stitched those together too. Because you know when you first start out on a cover hem, it can kind of want to twist the fabric a little bit. But if you butt the next one up right up against it, it never does that. So I just kept butting them up, putting them through, did all of the cover hems, then all of the shoulder seams, then all of the necklines, and so on. And pretty soon, the last step, I'm done, but I don't have one shirt, I have 3 or 4 or whatever you're making. So if you can imagine, it might take you an hour to make a t-shirt. It might take you an hour and a half to make 3 or 4 t-shirts because you're doing it all in a production way. You save a lot of time.
Especially with the stack cutting.
Yes, added the stack cutting. What we said was you were like saving 3 times X. Here you're probably saving 1.5 times X. And so it's just that simple. I use my new fabrics too. So this is the viscose rayon with a little spandex in it. And it comes in 2 colorways of this print and 2 other prints. Then I used the new bamboos. And I had a little bit of fun with them because these are opposite prints. So I mixed them up, as you can see. So I kind of scrambled my pieces.
Sorry.
So I have just kind of a fun, different look. And I'll tell you what, as I was making these, I forgot how luscious this bamboo is. Because the bamboo shirts that I made were just washed and worn a lot. So they didn't have that silky feel left to them anymore, and now these do. Of course, mine were several years old and worn a lot. But oh my gosh, this is this luscious. This is an inexpensive polyester, and it comes in a gray as well as the black, and it also comes, the gray comes in a French terry. So this is kind of a fun and a less expensive fabric to make a t-shirt out of.
Let's show that up close. It'll be easier than zooming in on the shirt because you've seen this before, but if a lot of you have, but if you haven't, it has like these flecks of the rose gold, and it is just really pretty. Takes the fabric up a notch. I don't know if you can see that, but very cool. And it's the same on the black.
Oh, you want me? Yeah, the black's right.
Yeah, I'm just saying that has it too.
So this is just a fun, everyday kind of t-shirt. The bamboos and the viscose are a little bit more special. All right, anything else? Oh, you want to see some of these fabrics. Now, this one comes in a second colorway. It was hard to decide which one.
So altogether, there's 7 new fabrics. So this is the other colorway of what Janet is wearing.
And what's nice about the viscose, we have those Italian viscose too. And these also come in the kits. So you can check out the 5EZT kits. But they are a lighter fabric. So when you put them on, it's almost like a lingerie fabric in a way that it's just like wearing very little. So it's very comfortable, a great summer lightweight. This is the other viscose we just got in. That's the fun colors. And then this one comes in the gold and let's see what others in it. Gold, olive, and black. This is really dramatic. Especially for all you redheads out there. This is gorgeous. And then there's one other bamboo we got in that I didn't show. And I honestly bought this for my granddaughter.
Whole bolt.
Well, you can't buy less. Wholesale, so we're all going to have puppy shirts.
Oh, I'm going to zoom in on that. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. And again, this is that luscious bamboo. So it's just kind of a fun. If you got grandkids and you show up in this t-shirt, they're going to love it. They love it. I bought a denim shirt that had dogs embroidered all over it. And the minute that my granddaughter walked in, she spotted it immediately. Okay. So what else?
All right. So if you have any questions on the stack cutting, the production method, the fabrics, like you said, there were 7 new fabrics. The 3 bamboos and the 4 viscose. But also, if you haven't seen in the newsletter, and I know a lot of you have asked in the last month or so, we had all the French terries in the kit only for the new pattern. And now that we're over that hump of fulfilling all the new pattern orders, the French terry is now available by the yard. So if you were looking for that already, or if you've already if you bought the kit and you made it and you want to make more, you can buy that by the yard now as well.
And the dyed to match ribbing. Now just be aware, it's the only thing on our site that we sell this way, but the ribbing is going to be 1/3 yard per unit instead of 1/2.
Okay.
That way it allows you to buy a little bit less because you seldom need much more than 1/3 of a yard. 1/3 of a yard would get you, 4 cuffs at least. You only need probably 2, but
Leaves a little room for
yes, exactly, and that happened.
And then there are 3 5 easy T kits. So we have the 5 easy T pattern, and we have 3 different kits depending on the type of fabric.
Yes, and they're priced accordingly. So there's the Molto Bene, which is the Italian. And then we have a posh kit and an upscale kit. And one of those has the rayons in it, and the other one has the bamboos and the new viscose in
The
it.
posh has the jersey, the rayon, and then the upscale has the viscose and the bamboo in it.
Yeah.
If you're looking for those are on the website. And who is signed up for Janet's classes in New York?
I only recognize a couple
I'm
of names.
asking them.
Oh.
I don't expect you to know all. I'm saying who jumped on that because four of them are sold out already, right?
Yes.
So
The
I know some of you out there
four
are in
of
there.
the five hands-on are sold out. The one that's not sold out is no surprise because it's Sunday morning. Sunday morning buttonholes, but it'll be fun. We'll do bound buttonholes on Sunday morning.
All right, Mary Berg is going to be there.
Mary, what class did you sign up for? Don't say you didn't sign up for any of mine. And it's okay if you
She's taking
do.
the pants class.
Oh, okay. We're doing that. Uh huh. All right, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So there's still availability in the buttonhole class, which is a very popular class. Again, probably the only reason it's not sold out is that time frame, which there's nothing wrong with that. Um,
No,
but
but
I am
yeah.
surprised it hasn't sold out, so that makes sense. And then there are also two lecture classes that are available.
Yeah, and the one I think is really great, and you can bring your questions, and it's the what, when, and where. So it's basically lots of little tips to fill in what's missing in your sewing education. So basically, what I say is, we've all learned to sew different ways. We've learned maybe from a next door neighbor, maybe a home ec teacher, and then, took a 4 H class here or a college class there, but it's all just sort of mishmash, and nothing was in a specific order teaching you all of the basics. So we fill in some more of the basics and talk about things that do escape a lot of sewers or that we know has been missing in basic home sewing education. So that one's really helpful if you're new or you're well experienced. And then the other one is the pant class, where we talk about the reason that you can't find a pant pattern to fit, because you never will. You have to create one, but we'll go through all of that.
Okay, sorry, Betsy. She says, "What's going on in New York?" I should have been more specific, just because we talked about it before. But Janet will be teaching at the American Sewing Guild conference in New York this summer.
That's in the
Um,
city, New York City.
and you can look it up, ASG, as in American Sewing Guild .org.
And there'll be a link right on the homepage that says annual conference. And you just click through there and get yourself to you can either sign up online, or you can print out a registration brochure and, take it to work with you or read it on the train or whatever your lifestyle is. But you can also read it online. And there are some good classes and good teachers and some fun special events.
Mm-hmm. Always is.
Yeah, they do a good job.
You have to know they do a good job, or Janet wouldn't be going.
Well, they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And Margot Martin, who is in charge of the American Sewing Guild, just does a fabulous job. Her heart is in the job. And, sometimes you can tell when it's not, but Margot's is.
Not with Margot, with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we have going on. Any other questions?
Yeah. Anybody having some kind of sewing conundrum or catastrophe that we could help you with?
Oh, I don't know if we have time for a catastrophe, but we could try.
Depends.
But yeah, this is the time of year that you might be thinking, like Janet, of the spring or summer wardrobe, and now you know how to stack cut. So
Yeah.
get
Well,
stack cutting.
if you got kids, they grow every year, so they need all new summer clothes. And you could stack cut 4 or 5 t-shirts per kid and then just gang sew them. Just keep them separate as far as sizes, or you'll have a mess.
Mary, will you email it to us? She said, I made the last pattern, but I had nowhere to get to show you.
I don't know what happened. Did they just sort of just do away with that?
I guess.
Yeah, the weird thing in today's world is that when you're working with companies like, well, they used to be called Facebook, now they call themselves Meta, you don't have a conversation with them. there isn't a person you can call up and say, hey, what's about this new thing? How come you don't allow my customers to post anymore? Or whatever it might be. No, we just have to kind of guess or figure it out. We try Googling, and sometimes there's just nothing there. And we have no idea, and we're disappointed about it. We may have to think of a new way to deal with that.
Yeah, but send it to us. If anybody's made the new pattern or any of our
Sure.
patterns recently or used any of our fabric for
Any
any
pattern.
pattern, basically, if you've used anything you've purchased from us, send us a picture because we would
Yeah.
love to see it, and maybe we'll get like a post going for you where we can put a bunch together
Yeah.
and show it off for you because we definitely are missing out on that feature as well.
Yeah. Yes. I had three from a woman recently. She made them off of the craftsy classes, and she sent me her pictures. So I could put hers with a couple of others, and we could do a little newsletter or Facebook posts with them. That would be good.
All right.
All right.
So, Janet has, as she talked about earlier, been um, using this downtime from Tuesdays at 2 to get some work done. We weren't sure if it would really happen, but it's happening. And we've already released that last cardigan pattern for you guys, and she's got another one on the way, although we're not saying when because we're not ready for that. But I'd be expecting to see those coming along.
Yes. Yes. That one should not be long. But again, we say that, and then
You
something
never
comes
know.
along, and just messes us up. So we're going to be very careful until we know we have a release date. And then we'll let you know because we can't wait to share it. Can't wait. It's a fun garment.
Yeah. So we're really happy that we got to be here today on the first Tuesday on time.
Yeah.
No sick kids, knock on wood.
Oh gosh.
And we're happy to be here with you. We're glad we had this time. We hope you learned something, and we'll be back next month.
Yes, we will. And we'll keep those newsletters coming. And again, any questions or any sewing help that you might need, don't hesitate to email me. It's islandersewing@comcast.net. And if you haven't read my Mythbusters, the link is at the top of the page on the home page. Click on it. There's lots of good information there. I had a woman who is a teacher designer who wrote me the other actually she called me. She was so excited because she said, I found you on YouTube. I can't believe it. You are so spot on. And we just had this great, mutual admiration. But anyway, yeah, good stuff.
All right. Well, we'll see you next month, but email us in the meantime if you need anything.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? She was the reason I brought that up is she
Oh,
was
you
pertaining
forgot.
to my Mythbusters.
Oh,
She
okay.
had read the Mythbusters and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that somebody else is saying these things." So anyway, read those and have a great week, a good month, and so.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.